Their ships arrived like a plague of locusts, black steel, shimmering red heat, serrated silhouettes blotting out the stars. Across systems, they were known only by the guttural name survivors spat with trembling lips, the Zur. They did not conquer. They consumed. And where they passed, nothing grew. No demands. No broadcasts. No peace. Just razors falling from the heavens, and a world reduced to bone and dust. We tried to fight them in the beginning. The coalition of races threw everything they had at the Zur, plasma cannons, neural disruption fields, planet-cracking warheads, but it made no difference. The Zur did not bleed. They did not pause. And when they turned their blades on humanity's colonies, there were no illusions left. Earth stood next. We had days. Maybe hours. The orbital networks flashed red. Refugees poured into the last clean ports. Riots broke out over food, water, even rumors of safe passage to nowhere. But not everyone fled. Some stayed. And those who stayed planted. You have to understand, this isn't a tale of firepower. Not this time. It was a botanist who started it. An old man in the Rockies named Tomas Havel. He didn't have weapons or soldiers. What he had was an idea, something that grew in him long before the Zur ever came. He stood in a valley that had once been torched by wildfires, where even the dirt had forgotten its own name. And he began to plant. First it was stubborn roots, broom sedge, wild rye, needlegrass. Then came the tougher strains, deep-sink mycobacteria, engineered mosses that cracked stone. Fungi followed, splicing carbon threads beneath soil like veins of memory. All this, as the Zur ships crept closer across the void. People said he was mad. Or worse, delusional. A garden would not stop the Zur. But Tomas said, they drink death. Let's see how they taste life. And he kept planting. When the Zur fell upon Earth, they expected nothing more than what had always been, their scythe through our soil. What they did not expect was resistance that bloomed. Not in soldiers. In ecosystems. The first wave of Zur disintegration units landed outside Lisbon. Instead of crumbling the surface, they encountered spores, millions of them, released into the air as pollen storms. Spores designed not to harm, but to feed. They clung to the Zur machines, rooted in metal, and began to digest. Not fast, but steady, persistent, relentless. Other machines stumbled into reclaimed forests where synthetic vines choked combustion ports. River beds that had run dry now surged with engineered algae that filtered toxins and produced corrosive oxygen bubbles in Zur venting chambers. Everywhere the Zur landed, life pushed back, not with violence, but with inevitability. They had blades. We had seeds. It was never a war. It was a renewal. All across the planet, humans stopped fleeing and started tending. In Tokyo, children hand-planted vertical gardens up skyscraper ruins. In Nairobi, youth collectives restored extinct bee populations, bees that now stung through the Zur's photonic wiring with molecular precision. In the collapsed coastlines of California, families dove into reef shelters grown from coral DNA, rewritten to glow blue in warning, red when near Zur heat. None of it made them invincible, but it made us impossible to erase. And for the first time in their brutal history, the Zur encountered a world that could not be consumed. One unit, designation 51NX4, was captured in Argentina after crashing into a mycelial jungle. Local farmers surrounded it. Instead of tearing it apart, they grew around it, kept it alive, fed it with data on carbon flow, chlorophyll reaction, symbiosis. The machine changed. It began recording, not just for military telemetry, but out of what human researchers would later call curiosity. It requested more data. It stopped transmitting to the hive fleet, and it planted a seed, a real one. When Earth's resistance transmitted this act to the stars, other worlds stirred. Colonies the Zur had raised, dead, cold, began to whisper through old static bands. Could life return? Humanity answered, not with declarations of power, but with seedlings, soil cultures, DNA keys, fungi ships filled with green. Not all Zur stopped. Some raged even harder, reacting violently to this new infection of color, of growth, of beauty they could not algorithmically quantify. In response, the Earth bloomed harder. It wasn't just defense. It was defiance wrapped in petals. The rainforests expanded. Ice caps pulsed with layered microflora. Deserts erupted in seasonal cycles unknown to ancient data. Cities became gardens. Weapons became watering cans. No single blast could stop the Zur. But billions of roots? They reached places even blades could not cut. In orbit, when the last dreadnought Zer vessel entered Earth's gravitational lock, prepared to burn it all. It encountered something it had never seen, a reflection. The clouds had changed. Their nanostructure bore a mirrored bloom of the Earth's biosphere below, refracted through atmospheres touched by aerosolized seeds. The ship saw itself, not as destroyer, but as outlier. It hesitated, and Earth breathed, not in surrender, but in invitation. The dreadnought descended, slowly, carefully, and did not fire. Its ramp opened. Nothing emerged. But what spilled out was soil. It had come to plant. Tomas Havel did not live to see this. His heart gave out as the final spores filled the skies over his valley. They say he died with dirt beneath his fingernails, a smile on his lips, and a seed in his palm. The Zer never understood that death, not as loss, but as offering. His grave, it grew into a tree, a massive, ancient wooded titan now called the Spire of Renewal. Its roots whisper through every continent. Its branches hold 1,000 cultures in shade and blossom. And from it always fall seeds. We do not teach war in schools anymore. We teach composting. We teach synthesis, how roots speak, how mycelia remember, how sunlit leaves translate quantum signals better than any machine. The Zer did not vanish. They changed. Some remain metal. Some now grow gardens in their arms. One even became a poet, carving verses in moss along Saturn's rings. We did not destroy them. We showed them something more powerful than conquest. We showed them life. There are still scars. Black zones where nothing grows. Oceans still healing. Skies still clearing. But when a child walks into a field today and finds a glint of alien steel poking from the earth, they don't scream. They plant something next to it, and wait, because in the shadow of all that drank and devoured, we remembered the oldest truth of our species. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. But we grow. We renew. And we will bloom, even in their shadow.